Mrs. Ruby Merlot here to introduce this paint pour. I hope you are both enlightened and entertained. I am Mrs. Ruby Merlot. As a cultural, colorful pouring icon, I dress for every pour as one would naturally dress for dinner. I channel my muse with a quick vocal exercise, then ask my canvas what it wants to be. And now that you know my story, shall we pour? A quick vocalise, pouring on the paint, and then I ask my canvas what it wants to be. Here is the tubing with which I blow the paint across my canvas, so unattractive yet so necessary, and I wanted you to see what I use. I have been trying to encourage Mr. Merlot to list the colors I use in the descriptions section of my channel. This time, none of them has silicone. Ah, very soothing, don't you think? You know, hearing those melodic strains reminds me of my women's club's recent effort to save the whales. After much discussion, our determined little group elected to put on an interpretive dance to this piece of music. All our ticket charges would go to the cause, and we were extremely excited to be part of the solution. Practices started out well, though our restrictive costumes challenged our creative expression as our arms were entirely useless. But we pushed on. Mitzi Cranmore was in charge of choreography, though she had never seen a whale. Under her leadership, we were close to a breakthrough when poor Gail tripped on a rogue cardboard wave, fell flat on her face, and could not get up. Her legs were kicking as she helplessly rolled across the floor, arms pinned tightly to her sides within the hot neoprene costume. Mr. Merlot and Gail's husband, Dale, were both there working on stage lighting, but what do you think? They didn't help her at all. They simply stood there laughing and called for a net. Needless to say, our interpretive dance was scrapped. Instead, we went door to door to raise the funds. I regret to admit it, but often at late-night soirees, partygoers are still regaled by the unpleasant tale of Gail the Whale. But the music's nice. Oh, look! An angry Muppet! A problem I sometimes have is knowing when to stop. I continue to add paint and to blow it out long after I probably should have called it finished. But it's so much fun! One finds oneself thinking just one more thing. As is my habit, I use the torch I borrowed from my cook to pop air bubbles and draw out even more cells. And I use my palette knife to touch up corners and edges and to scrape the drips from below. And here are the close-ups. Poor Mr. Merlot says he needs to purchase a gimbal to video these close-ups successfully. I told him that New York department store had closed years ago, though I wouldn't mind owning my own store. But he said this gimbal thing is something else. Oh well, not my job, as the young people say. I am a bit sorry I used so much yellow, as its encounter with the blue caused a muddle of green in places. But one never knows. Hopefully you can see the spots of lacing and small cells that formed when the white was blown across the colors. Such delightful details! And here it is, displayed with the bowl Gale's husband Dale gave her as a peace offering for the whale incident. He must have paid a pretty penny. If you've enjoyed this pour, please subscribe to my channel, though no interpretive dance will be offered as an incentive for you to do so.